I locked these up last night, so it's time to move them. It was an early start today, but to get them moved and resited before the day warms up too much. It's going to be another hot day, I think. Right, here we are in the old orchard, and I've released these bees. Now the next stage is to give them a bit more space. I'm going to have to get a smoker on because they won't like being opened up after being moved, but extra space will keep them going for a while before putting them into a big box, and give us a chance to find out if they're actually if the queen's laying well and all the rest of it. Unlike this one, where I didn't know if the queen was actually laying before I moved her into that box, we do know the queen is laying in this box, and now got double the amount of space, so it'll give us a little bit of an opportunity to get a nice new box sorted out, and yeah, get a new box cleaned up, ready to bring out here and move them into in a week or two's time. When I last looked at this box, it had a queen, but the queen wasn't laying. So hopefully the queen is laying now, and if she is, then they need a bit more space. Well, there is a laying queen. I'm seeing those cells now. Not capped yet, but they're on their way. Now, having just moved all these frames from a polyneuc into this brood box, I would quite like to see this queen and make sure that she's here, but so far I haven't. Not expecting a lot of honey off a hive like this at this stage, but you never know. Depends how well the queen lays and how quickly they build up. They're not particularly strong at the moment. It seems to have taken that queen quite a long time to get mated. Right, well, they've been moved into a new box. I've got a super with some old stores in there that might help them make that wax that they've got to make on the new empty frames. These can be left alone to get on with it now for a while. They're taking pollen in. They've got lots of pollen in there actually. So they're good at taking pollen in, and hopefully the queen will be good at laying, and they'll lift off. Floor's rotten, so I need to remind myself to bring a decent floor out here for this colony. In fact, the roof doesn't look too pretty either, but at the moment they'll be okay. This swarm in the supers was video going in some weeks ago. When I checked them back then, they didn't have a laying queen, so that's a little while ago though, so they may now have a laying queen, so I think it's time to have a look and find out. Well, the first thing is they have been making honey, and yeah, it looks as though that box could be quite full, that top box. And it does look as though they've been busy making honey, so I think may have to lift that top box off. Right, well, this box isn't so full, so if I put that brood box underneath this one, then they'll be able to move up into it. I think they'll still have a big enough gap on the corner, we'll see. Still really need to go through that one and see if I can find the queen, but they're so tight, those frames. I'm rolling the bees. And they've brewed pretty much on all of these frames. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a brood box on top with a set of empty frames in it that they can then move up into. Because there's going to be a lot of new bees born very soon. Some have already hatched out. So this Must have had a laying queen pretty much soon after they arrived. Coston Orchard, and it's been some time since I last came here. Some of these old boxes may have bees in now, but this one definitely got bees in, and it may have honey in there. So I've got some new frames to replace some that could be taken out. It looks as though there could be some honey in here. Whether those new frames are completely capped, I'll have a look, take some out. Not too bad, not quite to the edge, but a nice frame nonetheless. So I think we'll take that one. And there's still room in these frames for more honey to be put in. Now this, I've taken one super off, that was quite heavy, but this one is not as heavy, and strange that the top box was full and the next box down is half full. I'll just have a look at the bottom super, and then I think I'm just going to put these all back and leave the bees alone. Well, this one looks pretty full. I'm going to put another super on. I think that's what I'm going to do. Another super, or two even, on here. Alright, let's have a look at this hive. Bees are not going in the entrance. They like the little gap on the corner. Let's see what's going on in there. Well, the bees are here. Not doing that much yet. There was a brood box put on top of the super, so actually that could come off, and another super go on here, possibly. Bees are not very friendly tonight, so I don't know if they always are not going to be very friendly. I'm going to have a look inside this hive where the bees will be going in the side. Alright, the swarm that adopted this hive seemed to like it because it had a big gap there. There's a nail missing, and there's a gap at the top. So that's where they went in. They're not using the entrance at all. So let's have a look and see what's going on. Well, there's a bit of honey in the super that was in the top. Alright, well, I pulled one frame out of the brood box, which I decided to put in its right place on the bottom. And lo and behold, what do we have there? The queen cell, which is open right in the middle of the frame. Classic supersedure. So hopefully these bees have got themselves a nice new queen, or if they haven't actually got a laying queen yet, they've got one that will be laying soon. So I'm now going to put the whole stack back together, and I'm not going to go through it anymore really. I'm going to leave it alone. If there's a virgin queen in here, I don't really want to disturb her, so I'll leave it a few more weeks and then have another look. Right, well, I haven't changed their preferred entrance in this upper super, but I have rearranged the boxes a bit, and I have put a queen excluder on. I haven't changed the entrance because if they've got a virgin queen, I don't want them flying from one entrance one day and then not finding it the next day. So this box will have to wait for a little longer before it's sorted. It may spend the season like that. But anyway, there's quite a lot of bees in the box, and they had been making honey. It may be that they've stopped making honey in order to get a mated queen, or of course they could have just stopped making honey because of the weather. Right, well, I will intend to put another super on above the one that's there, above the queen excluder, so that they can have quite a lot of space below if they want to, and then have some space up above to put some honey in. But that's 2 extra supers put on there. That's getting a bit crazy, really. And yeah, I need to do something else, really. I think take some honey off, maybe.